MyMac Podcast 963, Buggy Bugs.
Hi everyone and welcome.
3, 1, a 2, a 3.
Hi everyone and welcome to this week's mighty MyMac podcast. Well, there's quite a few bugs in Apple's regular software, actually more than a few, and the GMen are going to talk about some of them this week. Not all of them, because that might make the show just a tad too long, but enough to take the smirk of superiority of some Apple user faces. Hi, Guy, and we will do it now. Get it over and done with. We're sorry we missed the last 2 weeks, folks, but we're back. In fact, I'm going to let Steve tell everyone if I can find it in time. I'm going to keep talking. And what is it, Steve?
So we're back.
We are back.
We are.
Yes.
We are
yes.
back.
Yes. So we'll move on from apologies. How are you? I see that you might have actually had a battery issue according to the notes.
Yeah. The weird thing was the battery was draining. I mean, like super fast, but it was still, when you looked at the little battery monitor health thing in iOS, it was still showing 87%. And this is on an iPhone 13. So this is now 2+ years old. So I took it to the Apple store and there was some process running on it that was causing an excessive drain. And of course, Apple's testing didn't say just what that was, just that there was a problem. So did a total restore and re-downloaded all of the apps that I typically use instead of downloading them all. So I was very judiciously going through. I mean, let's face it, over the course of time, you get these apps and you say, oh, that sounds great. I'm going to love this app and I'm going to use it all the time. And then you actually get the app and you use it and you're like, oh, that's complete and total crap. I'm not going to use that anymore. But do you remove it? No. You just say, well, I don't want it on the main page, so I'll just put it way over there and never think about it again. So every once in a while, it's probably not a bad idea to do something like that. Also, the keyboard that I've been using for a while, the lettering on it, and it's backlit, but the lettering on it was starting to fade, and they were also very small. And with the eye issue, it's like, okay, I need to get a keyboard that has big letters on it and is backlit.
Yes.
So I went ahead and I got one, and it came through Amazon, and I plugged it in, and it was like, why aren't my shortcuts working? And I looked, and it was like, oh, this is a Windows keyboard. So it was like, off to Amazon returns you go, Mr. Windows keyboard, because you're also complete crap. Second one was fine, has big letters, and is also backlit.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Did Apple make a really good accessibility keyboard, Guy?
No, they do not.
Not one with big letters. Perhaps not as accessibility friendly as they'd like to think they are then.
Now, there is a company, and I can't remember what the name of them is off the top of my head, that take Apple keyboards and put large letters on them. But of course, you have to pay Apple keyboard price plus the price of whatever, this other company puts on. And it's a great keyboard. It's a pure Apple keyboard. But I'm not willing to spend nearly $200 for...
I'm sure I can find you some stickers.
Yeah. I've tried those in the past, and it's like, it's great, but it's got that like membrane feel to it.
Yeah.
And as you start moving your fingers around,
just little sticker letters. We'll find you some, and some that are fluorescent as well. So they'll.
Oh, okay. So they'll glow in the dark.
Yeah.
Yay. Other thing, I was getting ready to be on Chuck Joyner's Mac Voices on a Tuesday night,
right?
And I could not get my Sony camera that I have going right now, the A5100, to work. And it was like, oh my God. So I'm checking all this stuff, and I come to realize it's not getting power. So the fake battery, because I mean, what you have to do with
Yeah.
a lot of these DSL cameras or DSLR cameras is you get a fake battery that has a cord coming out of it that you plug into the wall, so it
Yep.
has constant power.
Yep.
So I figured, oh, that must have gone bad. So they're cheap though. So I went ahead and I got one.
Right. So for those listening, Guy's just stretched back and he's showing me a box which says power adapter.
Yeah, it's like $15. Not real expensive. Okay. So I was getting ready to do that, and of course, to do that, you have to take out the old one, and I have it all clipped, and I hadn't undone the clips yet, fortunately. So, but as I was taking it out, there's this cable that plugs from the power brick into the camera, and it's got an interrupt. And as I was pulling the cable out, I saw that it wasn't plugged in to the other side of the cable that was supplying power. And it was like, you know, my superior troubleshooting skills tells me that this could be the actual problem, which of course I didn't look at before I ordered the replacement battery pack. So here I am, and I can't decide whether I want to send it back, because I just sent the keyboard back, and it's like, oh, do I really want to bother Amazon with yet another return?
Yes, yes, you do.
When I say something like that in my head,
yes, you do. Yes, you do.
The evil demon part in the back of my head is like, why the hell wouldn't you? You
absolutely
stupid man.
Okay, so can I just make a point here? In the UK, sure. And I can't remember whether it's 14 days or 28 days. If you buy something online, you can send it back within either of those periods. I can't remember which it is. With
at least 14 days.
With no reason. I mean, they sometimes ask you for a reason, but you don't have to have a reason. If you bought it online, basically, you can send it back. Yeah. If you're not happy with it, as long as you've not, used it, abused it, all the rest of it. Yeah. But you can send it back. Now, sometimes some companies will charge you the carriage.
The Christian Dior print that I have in the living room. I'm sorry.
But anyway, you must have something similar like that in the US. Just send the damn thing back and get
Amazon will take
you need back. That. You need that money.
I do. Oh my God. Yes, I do. We won't go into that this week.
We won't go that.
Might come up on a future thing, but we're not going to talk about it this week.
No.
Okay. Well, that's what I had going on. Gaz, how about you?
Well, yeah. So my health issues, I don't know how far we've got, because obviously we haven't podcasted for 2 weeks.
Well, you've talked about the tube.
Yeah, I think I talked about pulling it out and that the squeakiness of that process, and then I had
oh my God.
That's how I refer to it, the squeakiness. And since then I then got an infection, which is kind of fairly regular for having a tube shoved up your doobry, and then having it squeaked out. It's like,
you just hate me. That's what I think it is.
Anyway,
like,
got over
how many times can I make guys squirm in less than 30 seconds?
Quite a few, by the looks
Quite
of
a few.
Anyway, since then, got over that. Then had a stinking head cold, which moved onto the chest. So I hadn't been out on my bike. But finally, I've actually now been out with the group ride, the big group rides that we do. I've been out twice on that. So bike riding, been out with Mrs. Gaz as well. We've done a bit of bike riding. Super. Getting back into it. And this week, I bought another bike. In fact,
nice.
It's exactly the same as the bike that I've currently got, except the frame is a bit smaller. Two possible reasons for buying.
Did you get a new seat?
Yes, as well. I've got a new bike. It's got everything. Everything came with everything. Okay. Squeaky. Are you talking about this seat? The squeaky seat I'm sitting on now. Now, 2 reasons. One, I'm actually in the process of getting an indoor cycle trainer. One of these smart trainers, because I have, when the weather's been inclement, which it has been quite a lot here recently, you just want to get those legs turning. You want to get some fitness going. So a lot of the guys down at the club, they all swear by them. So I thought, all right,
or
well, I'll see
swear
if I
at them.
can or swear at them after they've fallen off them. Yeah. And I thought, well, I'll get one. But this is one of those trainers, which is called a direct drive trainer, which means you basically put your bike on it and you ride the bike. Well, that's all well and good, but you have to take the rear wheel off and then
Yeah.
put the. So I thought, do I buy an exact replica of what I've got at the moment, which, if you're buying a new bike, could cost you a lot of money because bikes can be very expensive.
Yes.
However, my bike I bought several years ago at it was secondhand then. So it was a much reduced price, but it's a decent bike. Everybody who's ridden it and seen it's got a pretty good bike there. So I've been watching the interwebs and I've found another one which is identical apart from the frame being a bit smaller, but that's fine because I can raise the seat post. But at the same time, Gaz's daughter, little Gaz, well, big little Gaz,
Mostly
she's
clean.
the older one, mostly clean. She wants a bike as well. And I've then thinking, because I was out testing it today, so I bought it yesterday, and it only cost me 90 quid, this bike, so I'm not spending lots and lots of money. No, it's not, and I know it's a good bike because I've got exactly the same model, and it's everyone likes it, and everybody's been on it, ridden it, says it's good, and I like it, so that's the important thing. Anyway, the thing is, I suddenly was testing the bike and I was riding around thinking, what do I do after I've been out on every cycle ride? What do? I clean my bike. Well, I'm never going to use the indoor trainer on the same day I go out on one of these rides. So it's going to be dry. It's going to be clean. I could just get my normal bike and bring it in. So daughter might well be looking at having identical bike to Daddy Gaz. So that's what I've been doing this week. And obviously I've been volunteering and, great. Before coming on this show, I spent 20 minutes trying to get continuity camera working. I finally got it working by basically putting a USB-C temporarily. Yes. Well, no, we don't know. That could have been StreamYard. I've got it working by basically connecting it with a USB-C. Supposed to be continuity. It's supposed to be easy, Apple. I spent £40 on this flipping adapter so it could sit where it's sitting, nice and easy. I just plug it in, great. But I was thinking, what a waste of money that was. Anyway, I got it working eventually. But come on, Apple, get that sorted. Also, Apple still have not fixed the desktop image issue on MyMac. But of course, it just works, doesn't it, Guy? Of course. It
every time
works.
Every time. Though there may be a little something about that later. Is when I use continuity camera, this is what I use, and it just hangs right on the monitor.
Well, I can't really show you what I use because
I'm
using it. Anyway, I think, Guy, because I've got quite a few snippets for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
I have tried to thin them down a little bit, but some of them we may have to flip through fairly quickly.
Oh, yeah, because that always happens.
This could be a long show, folks. Anyway, I'm going to jump in to Gaz's snippets. Okay, so this first one, let me just... It's been some time since I've read some of these earlier ones, so I might flip a little bit. British inventor seeks to take 18 billion byte out of Apple in a bitter patent war. Patrick
18
Rass,
billion?
18 billion. I haven't seen this story anywhere else, so we'll see where we go with it. Patrick Rass, RACZ, is in a long-running patent fight with the tech company over claims it stole his file sharing and payment system for iTunes. As a plumbing tycoon, Patrick was used to enduring a deluge. Very nice. But circumstances led to a very different kind of drenching. Sitting in his local...
Smelly.
and this isn't April 1st, by the way. In his local park, the rain contemplated the demise of his business during the dot-com crash. I lost everything. I had young children. I was embarrassed, upset that I'd let my family down. I couldn't I couldn't look them in the face, he recalls. His nadir came just before the emergence of a patent battle with Apple that would define his life. Nearly 2 decades on, he remains at loggerheads with the company and the US courts. How do you think that one's going to end, Guy?
I
Badly.
think for him,
Yeah.
if he's lucky, Apple will just say, "Okay, here's a little money. Go the hell away."
I do not think they will even contemplate that after 2 decades. I think he should give up now and create a new life for himself.
Yeah. Good luck with
Apparently,
that, sir.
Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway's Apple shares to generate. This is in dividend income, Guy. Dividend income. $878 million in 2024.
God, how many shares does this guy own?
Oh, he owns a lot. Let's just see. The last 5 years, his stake is worth 167 billion.
Okay. You know,
it's obscene,
Warren, if
isn't
you
it?
can't figure out what to do with your money, with some of your money,
hey,
there's a podcast that you might be interested in sponsoring. We'll tell you what the name of it is later, but there's an American guy and there's an English guy, and they go back and forth, and it's a great show. So you should just give them some money.
Doula. Yeah. Now there's going to be a few of these, so don't jump in and don't jump down my throat. Matt, and actually that is possibly something we ought to talk about as well, because 2 weeks, and this isn't the only one. Mac OS Sonoma 14.3 update available now for download. iOS 17.3 for iPhone available for download, and obviously iPad OS 17.3. We'll come back to that a little bit later. Apparently, Apple paid $13.65 million in a Russian fine. An antitrust agency has said. Russia's FAC antitrust agency said that Apple paid a fine of 1.2 billion rubles, $13.65 million.
You said that was FAC.
FAC.
Never mind. No, go ahead.
No. That was imposed over the company's alleged abuse of its dominant market position. Apple has retaken the title of the world's most valuable public company from Microsoft. If you remember, we were talking about that some time ago. I think that at this point, which was 22nd of January, crikey, it was some time ago, Apple's valuation of $2.998 trillion. Ahead of Microsoft at 2.957 trillion.
Yeah, that'll show them.
Apple is seeking to toss a 1 billion UK lawsuit over Apple store fees.
Those tossers.
Oh, you bloody tosser. Apple, a couple of weeks ago, asked a London tribunal to throw out a class action lawsuit valued at around $1 billion brought on behalf of more than 1,500 app developers over its App Store fees.
So just take your apps away. Go ahead. Go ahead. Do that. Do that instead. We dare you.
Apparently, I don't know whether they won anything, but Apple scored a record 13 Academy Award nominations back in January. We're not going to talk about this very much, but there was quite a lot of news about it. Apple Vision Pro units offered as much as $10,000 at eBay. So basically, people were getting hold of these and selling them on the back market. Let's call it that. The Apple Car may be the Apple Car may be a Me Too product, but that's what Apple does best.
What?
What? We'll see whether there's an Apple Car or an Apple service or what it's going to be. We don't know.
Who are they Me Tooing?
Well, no. Well, basically, Apple has a Me Too product, doesn't it? They came out with a smartphone, which was the first proper touch phone smartphone, but they do kind of come out a little bit later, don't they? And they do, they make a product environment a much better environment.
Yes. Okay.
That's how he's referring to it. That's how my interpretation of what he's saying is
Okay.
referring to it.
So this reporter has serious Apple envy. Go ahead.
It's an actual Apple reporter, so I don't think they've got envy.
I think he's got big issues.
Some time ago, Guy, within the
Yeah.
last 2 weeks, the
Ooh.
Mac turned 40.
No, not quite at
40.
Social Security, but getting there, getting up there.
Apple has snagged another iPhone record, topping the Chinese sales for the first time ever. And I thought they were doing badly in China. Oh, hang on a minute, though. It says
Depends who you
Counterpoint
talk
data.
to.
Hang on a minute. Counterpoint data recently suggested that Apple beat Samsung in global smartphone sales across 2023. And a new report today suggests that the company set another iPhone record last year. Despite the surprise born-again competition from Huawei, the iPhone is reported to have been...
What was the name of that company? Huawei.
It's reported to have been the most popular smartphone in China until... the government probably said, don't use iPhones anymore.
Yeah, because we can't spy on them like we want to.
Or
actually, no. Actually, it was the opposite problem. Never mind.
Never mind.
We're not gonna go into all that again.
No, we're not. Ads and push notifications are being used to spy on iPhone users. Both in-app ads and push notifications are being used to identify and spy on iPhone users, according to two separate reports. The first says that in-app ads are being used to gather data intended to identify your iPhone and send highly sensitive data to security services, while the second found that apps like Facebook and TikTok are using vulnerability in the way to push notifications are handled by iOS to obtain the data for their own use.
Damn, if only there was a way to deny these companies those notifications. If only.
If only we knew.
Yeah. Obviously, it's impossible.
Now, apparently, Apple has announced a reduced commission structure for apps in Europe. To comply with the Digital Markets Act, Apple is announcing a sweeping set of changes to the App Store policy. This includes new reduced commission structure. iOS apps in the EU can now accept alternative terms with a commission set at 17% plus 3% if apps are using apps in-app purchase system. Either way, that's a significant cut from the old 30% rate. Small businesses program developers will pay a commission of 10% plus 3%, down from 15%. There's an additional new core technology fee for high volume apps. Oh, that goes at some ridiculous amount per user. But yeah, I got a feeling that Apple, over the last few weeks, and there may be a few more stories kicking in the next few minutes or so, but Apple are doing their very best to push the rules and regulations that the EU are trying to force upon them
to the limit.
To the limit. Apple has updated its App Store policies to relent on a long-standing ban on game streaming apps. Developers are now allowed to submit a single app that can contain a catalog of games where the game code is running from a server. This allows services like Xbox Cloud Gaming to finally release a native app for the iPhone and iPad. I haven't seen any more on that at this stage. Apple has opened up NFC chip to allow alternative to Apple Pay in Europe in compliance with the Digital Markets Act. Apple is opening up the NFC chip on the iPhone for the first time. This will allow banking and wallets apps to offer competition to Apple Pay for the first time, allowing users to choose alternative payment system as the default app that appears when holding the iPhone near a payment terminal, as well as the double-click side button shortcut. We'll see how many people people use that.
Don't blame Apple if it goes horribly, horribly wrong. If you
Apple
lose all your money
third-party
for some reason.
Apple says that third-party app marketplace creators must have a €1 million letter of credit. Apple today officially announced support for third-party app stores in the European Union as part of the iOS 17.4. In a document on its website, Apple says that anyone looking to develop an alternative app marketplace will have to provide evidence that it can financially guarantee support for developers and customers. Let's hope Tim Sweeney can. Now,
Yeah.
Epic CEO Tim Sweeney. Here we
Hate
go.
that
There it
guy.
is.
That Tim, he's a jerk.
He says that the changes are an anti-competitive scheme rife with junk fees. He would now, wouldn't he?
Yeah, he would. He would say that. Yeah. Did you ever go to the Epic store? Ever see what they do?
Fortnite is coming back to iOS, guy, in the EU through the new Epic store. Yeah, I've got a feeling that it just isn't going to make them the money that they've lost over the last X number of years. And
No,
people
a lot
have
of people I
moved
think have
on,
moved on
Epic.
from
Moved
Fortnite.
on. You have made such a cock up. Apple has expanded the analytics available to developers as part of the App Store changes. Apple's EU core technology fee could bankrupt freemium app developers. There's a bit of concern about the way it's going, so we'll have to wait and see. Moving on that, this is quite an in-depth article, and it goes backwards and forwards and talks about ifs and buts. But there is a little bit of concern about freemium app developers, so we'll have to wait and see. Netflix company, the CEO has called Vision Pro subscale and wonders if anybody would actually use it. I've got a feeling that lots of people will use it, possibly not at the levels that you're thinking just now, but give it 5 or 10 years and you'll be putting your app on there, Netflix. I can
Assuming that
assure you.
Netflix is still around.
Still around.
In
Yeah.
5 to 10 years. Speaking of substandard services,
Let's move on. Apple's
Okay.
third-party App Store announcements guarantee the company will end up in court. So there's lots of talking about all of these changes and where it's going to put Apple eventually.
Wait, other companies are suing Apple?
Apple's third-party App Store plan is a shameless insult and must not stand, says Coalition for App Fairness. You see, so there's lots of pushback. We shall, and since these, I've not heard a great deal more, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah,
they seem to have gone, 2 fingers up yours, Delors, as we used to say in the UK.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a guy in his basement going, "I'm really upset, and I'm going to get this fancy name for my organization to let you know how upset I am." Excelsior!
We must move on because I'm not even
Okay.
a third way through yet.
Oh, crap.
Share Play Music control is expanding to HomePod and Apple TV. Moving on. That's Apple's EU changes. I'm not going to say on that. Spotify CEO Daniel Ek and Apple's EU changes. They think the rules don't apply to them. There's lots of it.
What?
Mozilla is extremely disappointed with the implementation of Apple's EU browser engine change. Yeah, that's something slightly different, but it's still around the fact that the EU have asked for all these legislations. I don't need to talk about that one. Apple's savings account interest rate has increased again. It's gone up from 4.35% to 4.5%. We'll see. So that's about 3 or 4 changes in January and February.
I got some money in that.
Oh, cool. Apparently, Apple has lost a veteran hardware engineer to executive to Rivian. So he's perhaps fed up with, yeah. Okay. Apple veteran DJ Novotny.
DJ Nobody. That is DJ name. I'm DJ Nobody. He's going to join forces with Sam or Sal Segoin, and they're going to go on tour.
And they're going to go and with Sam somebody. Apple veteran DJ Novotny is departing the company for a new role at Rivian. Novotny, nobody.
Oh, God.
Oh, dear. Yeah, Vision Pro. Apple was said hello in a new ad. Yes, you all know about that. Apple VP of Hardware Engineering for Home Devices leaving the company after. Oh, I've already mentioned that one.
Yeah.
Meta hopes that Apple Vision Pro will reinvigorate the headset space. Why? Because you can't do it on your own.
Yeah. How many different models has Meta put out now?
No, I don't know. I've never
I mean,
even
they're cheap
thought
enough.
about buying one. Yeah, I've not even thought about buying one. Well, that's
Mm-mm.
how they make the money. They're cheap, so they need turnover.
Yeah.
Apparently, this I love this one. I don't think I was going to put this in as Gaz's link, but we're on it, so I'm going to
Okay.
just talk about it. Japan will no longer require floppy disks for submitting some official documents.
Wow. What are the people going to do without those? Oh, what were the ones that were like really really big and were actually like floppy?
What, the
How
five
big
and a
were those?
quarter? The 5 1/4 inch
Yeah.
floppies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what they
yeah,
wanted it on.
yeah. Because they used to come in like a card, whereas the little 3 inch ones, they came
Yeah,
in like
three
a
and a half
plastic
inch.
cat. I
Right.
mean, they were
A
floppy, but they
caddy,
came
plastic
in a
caddy.
plastic caddy. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Apparently, it said here that Apple sold approximately 200,000 Vision Pro headsets. I heard lots of people saying that if Apple sell 170,000, it said that they might sell between 160 and 180. So let's go for the middle. But apparently, they've sold 200,000. So I don't know how accurate that is, but I think it's been pretty much a success. Now, the thing is, Guy, I think that's everybody that can afford one has now bought one.
Yeah. But there's still the waiting list going back to,
Yeah,
or does
yeah,
that
no,
include
that's true.
does that include all the? Well, we don't know.
We don't know. We don't know.
Yeah.
I would say that's sold. It says sold, so that's how many they've actually sold, not waiting lists, because you haven't sold them yet, have you? Because people could cancel those orders.
Yeah.
WhatsApp is bringing passkey support to its iPhone app. Well done, WhatsApp. Apple's EU App Store changes opens the door for Australia to improve digital platforms competition. So watch out, folks. It could be going to Australia as well. I'm not going to dwell on that story. Apple has warned the proposed UK law could secretly veto global user protections. So let me just go
Oh,
to
yeah.
my normal little document here. I think that the person, company, or governing body that is putting at risk my ability to be able to choose a secure and reliable environment that I have chosen. So, person, company, governing body, or government body, you, if you want to play that stupid, ridiculous, silly game, I'm pretty sure with a lot of other people will continue to call you nasty, horrible people
Horrible people.
for putting my security at jeopardy. Yes. Said with feeling and not in a posh accent.
Yes.
He
Those
says,
dumbasses.
I know someone will pick me up on that. Yes, that's a repeat of that. Counterfeit AirPods factory was operating 3 productions lines.
Oh, they're
Get
busy.
this, guy. Yes, worth $23.5 million. Counterfeit AirPods, Guy.
What country was that in?
It doesn't say, but I've got a
Does it
feeling
have to?
it might be somewhere in China.
Wow. That's a stretch, Gaz.
There's a Norway Wealth Fund, Guy, which you may or may not have heard of, but basically they have a wealth fund which is puts basically a lot of the oil income that they put it in, and they use a lot of that money to actually improve the country and make things better in the country, which is a very sensible and clever thing to do.
That's
I've
crazy
got to
talk.
say, crazy talk. Well, apparently their fund the fund is Norway Wealth Fund posts a record 213 billion profit, which has been largely driven by, you guessed it, Apple tech stocks.
So them and Warren Buffett.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apple Card has topped 12 million users with 1 billion in cashback paid out in the last year. Not in the UK, it hasn't.
Yeah.
Apparently, there's a new firmware out for AirPods Max. there was, I don't need to talk about that because that's well and truly gone now. Apple has stopped signing iOS 17.2.1. Downgrading is no longer possible. Honda has launched wireless CarPlay retrofit option for select 2018 and 2022 cars. I saw
Wow.
this and thought, great, that's just what I need. Seems to be only in America. Sure, it might go around the rest of the world. However, they want $112 for the click of a switch.
Is it worth it for you?
No. Steve, is it worth it?
No.
Okay, well, Steve would know. Actually, he did know.
He did know.
He said no. He's a no kind of guy.
Epic Games has gone to court to accuse Apple of failing to comply with the App Store ruling. I don't know where that one's gone. But...
shut up. You big plonker.
You big girl's blouse. That's all I can say.
Get stuff up your skirt.
Zuckerberg has doubled down on saying that app age verification should be Apple's responsibility.
Really?
Really, Zuckerberg? Really? You're trying to shift the dirt off your shoulder? Yeah, slippery shoulders.
Hold on a second. Hold on. I got to do this. This is what he's doing. He's passing the buck. Okay, that was a lot
everybody listening. That was an awful lot for that. So if you're not watching the video, Guy very quickly pulled out a dollar bill and moved it from left to right across the screen, just for that dad joke.
Just so we could demonstrate Zuck passing the buck.
Yeah. Apparently, there's going to be season 2 of Idris Elba in the Hijack episode series TV show that they did.
Even more hijacked. That's what they're calling it.
Yeah. Hijack 2.
Electric Boogaloo. It's almost like Bruce Willis, when he's in like that 3rd or 4th Die Hard movie. After a while, you'd think he'd just be like, why am I even involved in this anymore? Idris gets on another plane and it gets hijacked, and he's thinking, I could have taken the bus. I could have taken a train. I could have just driven myself. No.
No. Apparently, and I put this in, and it was probably relevant at the time. It's probably not relevant anymore, but I'm going to say it. Apple Vision Pro battery cable can be removed with a SIM eject tool. I don't know why you can't pull it out, Guy, but apparently it can be removed with a SIM eject tool.
Well,
maybe you can't pull it out
when you pull it out.
Ah, yes.
That's right. Oh, I'm sorry. I just did it to myself again. Oh.
Apparently, for the 17th year consecutively, Apple is the world's most admired company.
By people who work at Apple.
Apple Store changes. The EU is watching and ready to take strong action. Yes. Doodum. This article said, here's what Tim Cook looks like wearing Apple Vision Pro. Really? That's your headline, and you've got a picture of Vanity Fair with Apple's Tim Cook with a Vision Pro on? Really?
That's their lead.
Incredible.
That's their lead story. Incredible. And people wonder why journalism is dead. I don't know. Hard to figure out.
Apple announced its financial results for 2024 first quarter ended December 30th, 2023. The company posted quarterly revenue 119.6 billion, up 2% year over year, and quarterly earnings per diluted share of $2.18, up 16% year over year. We could go into it, and there's lots of stuff: doing badly, doing great, doing badly, doing great. I heard quite a lot about the iPad and people going, oh, iPad's down. But then a few people went, yeah, But when did they last update the iPad? They are selling a bucket load of old iPads, like a bucket load. So when they bring the next
And
iPad out,
here's
go
the
on.
other thing is the iPads that people have bought are still working great for
Yeah,
what they bought them
yeah,
for.
yeah,
So
absolutely. Yeah.
is this a question of, oh my God, Apple isn't selling enough iPads, or is it people are happy with what they currently have?
Well, it's you've got to have an expanding market as well.
Okay.
Um, apparently, Apple now has more than 2.2 billion active devices worldwide. So there are more than 2 billion active iPhones, iPads, Macs, and other Apple devices worldwide.
So there's
That's
6 billion people that don't yet succumb, and rightfully so, to
no,
using Apple
can't you can't
devices.
you can't say that really,
Actually, it's
can
more
you?
than that, since so many people have multiple Apple devices.
Correct, correct, correct. I
What
mean,
is
they've
wrong
still
with
got
you
a
people?
yeah, yeah.
Go
Go
buy
out and buy
Apple
a Mac.
devices right now.
Yeah,
Go.
yeah. Because
Stop
Warren
listening
Buffett
to this podcast.
and
Go
go out
buy
and
an
buy.
Apple device
Yeah,
right
because
now.
Warren Buffett isn't going to get enough dividend this year unless you
That's
do.
right. That's right. And he needs to pass that to, that podcast I was talking
Yeah,
about
yeah. So
earlier.
basically, I clicked and I've got a few Apple's Q1 2024 earnings call takeaways, and you've probably heard all this
A lot of
because
money.
it's a lot of money. Apple says that the EU accounts for just 7% of its global app store revenues. That was during the earnings call. I think he's probably going to be trying to stick the knife in a little bit there to the EU, possibly. Mark Zuckerberg explains why there will be no Meta App Store for iPhone in the EU. Well, more for you. That's all I
Yeah.
can say.
Does it matter?
Yeah. Does that actually say more about how many Facebook users there are in the EU rather than the fact that Meta don't want to put a Facebook app in there? Or he says Meta App Store. Oh, sorry, let me rephrase that. He's talking about a Meta App Store. No, that's
Right.
because he's quite happy with the process. Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, my
Because
mistake.
all their
There,
apps
my
are
mistake.
free. So
Yeah,
what's the point
no
in
point.
coming
No
out with
point at
another
all.
store?
No point. And they haven't got a million euros to put as
Yeah. Well, they do, but
security.
why
No, they
bother?
don't. No, they don't. They don't. They're worth a lot of money. They just don't have that money available. Tim Cook says that Apple is focused on appealing the Apple Watch ban, not settling with Massimo. So this is
Good.
over the blood sugar
No,
blood
blood
oxygen.
oxygen.
Blood
Yeah.
oxygen. Yes. So, but apparently there are still some watches I think that you can buy through other stores because it's old stock, where you can still get this feature. But if you try and buy through Apple stores, you're probably not going to get a watch that can do it if you live in the US. Outside of the US, this isn't a problem.
Yeah.
Apple has put a giant Vision Pro on top of the Cube for the launch, or they did back on February the 1st. Apparently, Tim Cook says that Vision Pro costs $3,500 because it's tomorrow's technology today.
Where did he get that tagline? Wow, Tim. Another Tim. Tim Cook, leave marketing to marketing people, okay? Really. That's like, why don't you make an Apple pizza, okay? And then on the box, the Apple pizza will say, "You've tried the rest, now try the best." Because no one's done that before. Yeah.
Apparently, Tim Cook, in a launch to his in the launch of the Vision Pro, in a memo to his employees, said, "This is much like the iPhone launch." Well, does that mean that they're going to do the same that they did with the iPhone and drop the price quite a lot?
Yeah, they just want 1% of the total thing on your head that makes you look like a space alien market. Just 1%. That's all they want.
Then this one, Vision Pro not fitting well. Here are some Apple tips for improving it. And I was going to go through them jokingly, but we haven't got time.
No, we got so much to do.
Apparently, Apple says that Vision Pro isn't compatible with Bluetooth mice. That'll change. The Apple Vision Pro holds up well in a durability test, but yes, it will break if you drop it.
I'm
Apple
sure
feels,
OtterBox is going to come up with a solution for that, because
yeah,
the thing
I'm
you have on
sure.
your head, you want it to weigh a
Well,
lot more than it
basically, you've got
currently
to have
does.
that great big mask, and now you've got to have one of those big
Yeah,
biker helmets over the
yeah.
top,
It'll
like
be
a
built. It'll be
space.
built from recycled baseball batting helmets, I'm guessing.
Apple's Phil Schiller has discussed the risks of alternative app stores on the iPhone. I'm sure he has. And I think
I'm
Apple are
sure he
making it
was
quite
fair and
clear.
balanced.
If you go into another app store, you be very careful, because you may not have any sort of help from us if something goes wrong, which it could
That's
well
right.
do.
And that's kind of what's going to happen.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
mess
We
up
wait.
your phone by going to some of these third-party
And
app
you go to
stores.
Apple, they're going to go,
Whoop,
not our
sorry.
problem.
Yep.
iFixit shares an Apple Vision Pro teardown. $3,500, and they've
Yeah.
teared it down.
Hope you get a lot of views on that video, because you're not
Yeah.
going to make that back.
I just feel sorry for the person that's waiting for his next Vision Pro and see somebody destroying one. Anyway.
Oh, that's coming on YouTube next.
Yeah. I did watch this.
Friggin'
Casey
morons.
Neistat. I don't know how you say his name. Casey Neistat. He basically did a Vision Pro video experience. And he said it went from fun to feeling like the future. Basically, he did a video where he paraded around New York City. And
I saw some pictures of that on the subway.
I watched the video. Yeah. There was one point, and I think Carl mentioned it on his show, or one of them mentioned it on their show, where he's going up the stairs to get out of the subway. And Guy, he suddenly stops and starts typing, to do a response to somebody. I tell you, one, if he did that on any busy stairway anywhere in the world, you're going to get crushed, because people are going to suddenly walk through you when you suddenly stop. And two, I'd be swearing quite a lot at him if it was me walking behind, then somebody suddenly stopped because they want to respond using their silly little keyboard in front of them.
Listen, you've got some gear on top of your head that you bought for $3,500, and you're going into the bowels of the New York subway system. Do you have a bodyguard? No.
Well,
you're going to lose that device.
Well, he didn't, so he must have had a bodyguard. What I did like on the video, though, he does seem to be wearing quite a high vis fluorescent jacket, so perhaps he was a bit concerned that people wouldn't spot him walking around like a dork. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like, look at me.
Apple says that the iOS 17 adoption has been slower than the iOS 16 adoption so far. Now, that's one thing that Apple's normally pretty good at, so we'll keep an eye on that one, I think, moving forward. Trying is coming out for season 4. That's coming out in May. We quite like that in our house, so looking forward to that.
I've never even heard of it.
Go onto Apple TV and see if you've got it over there. Trying.
Oh, is that the one they're trying to get
the
pregnant?
Comedy? Yes.
Okay,
yes,
okay, yeah. I have seen that.
A Tesla driver admits he wasn't actually arrested for idiotic Vision Pro stunt. Sadly, is the open bracket, close bracket sub comment. I've got a link about a BBC article on that in Gazzy's link, so I'll come to that later. Apple moves to have a speculative consumer lawsuit over the crypto tech dismissed. Apple has asked a US judge to dismiss a consumer lawsuit accusing the company of unlawfully barring apps that facilitate cryptocurrency in transactions and driving up fees for the use of Venmo and Cash App. We shall see what happens on that. Apparently, this is a report saying that Mac security threats.
It actually sounds like you're running out of steam. Like,
oh
God, well, so many more snippets to go.
There are quite a lot of snippets. The Mac apparently, this is a report. The Mac security threats on the rise, according to Malwarebytes.
Yeah. Okay.
Testing fitness with the Apple Vision Pro. Come on. If you're trying to keep fit and you're doing something, it was funny because somebody was talking about, That Vision Pro, that's going to be dangerous for cyclists when drivers are driving around with it on their head. And I made the point, I don't think you'll find that drivers will be allowed, certainly in the UK, to drive with one of those things on their head. And that's what the article is about coming up. And plus, if you're going to be doing fitness, it's going to be all hot and sweaty and this thing's bobbing up and down. Come on, folks, get a grip. Apple wants you to know that the App Store is safe and a trusted place ahead of the EU changes. I bet they do. A federal judge has rejected the lawsuit claiming that Tim Cook was overpaid.
What?
A federal judge has dismissed a lawsuit claiming that Apple CEO Tim Cook was overpaid by tens of millions of dollars. It's a pension fund invested in Apple claimed miscalculations meant that the company paid far more than the compensation committee intended. Well, it's been dismissed.
In East Texas.
Apple has joined the US Commerce Department's AI Safety Institute Consortium. Apple has redesigned iCloud app for Windows. A fake LastPass app sneaks past Apple's review team. Now, going back to the fact that Apple wants you to know that the App Store is safe, Apple, you've got to keep it safe first. The popular password management app LastPass is warning customers about a fraudulent app that uses a similar name and icon to attempt to trick LastPass customers into using the fake app instead of the real app. Obviously, then trying to gain all of their information by uploading the passwords into it.
Yeah.
Apple has released 17.3.1 with a fix for a text bug. Apple has released watchOS 10.3. Apple releases macOS Sonoma 14.3.1 with a fix for a text overlapping bug. Apple starts letting developers add alternative app marketplaces to App Store Connect. Former Apple engineer who stole Project Titan trade secrets is sentenced to prison. Big surprise. Apple's anti-stalking feature credited with alerting a woman to AirTag hidden in her car. Too many stories about people being followed and not enough stories about actually you can spot this, because Apple have put in a set of processes to allow you to identify when you've got something that's been trying to track you.
Yep.
Apple is to settle a trade secret lawsuit with the SoC startup Rivios. Apple has reached an agreement with Rivios, the SoC company, that it sued in 2022 for theft of trade secrets. Rivios will submit a forensic examination of its systems to remove any confidential Apple information. Apple hired more than 40 employees from Apple, including several of former high-ranking engineers, leading Apple to file a lawsuit in May 2022. And that, folks, that finally, after hours and hours, is the end of this week's Gaz's Snippets.
There's a lot of them.
I do have a quick Gaz's link, which I will put in the show notes. And let me just open it and read you the headline. Tesla owners are told not to wear Apple virtual reality headsets while driving. Tesla owners have been reminded to keep their eyes on the road after videos of drivers wearing Apple's virtual reality headset have gone viral. Yes, I've got a feeling that it's basically going to be against the law and you will be fined. And you're stupid.
Well, how the hell are they supposed to watch movies while the car is driving itself? I mean, come on, Gaz, let's be reasonable. This whole thing reminds me a couple shows ago. I was talking about how Apple or some company could take the cameras that are built into this, and for someone with a condition like mine, monocular vision, put what my right eye would have seen along with the video from my left eye, put them together, and then display them on one side so that I could see more of what was going on. And nobody does this. Nobody that I can find. And I have searched like crazy. Nobody is doing this. No one has even tried, to the best of my knowledge. And for all I know, it wouldn't even work. That there's some thing related to vision with the human brain that would just sit there and go, no, that's not the real thing. I don't know. But as
No.
far as I know, no one's tried it.
Okay. That is the end of Gazzy's link.
Okay. Yeah, this is
Wow.
going to be a long show this week, guys. Super long show. All right, well, let's talk about some buggy bugs.
So
Now,
let's just mention. So
yeah,
if you want to pause, take a breath, go to the toilet, do whatever you need to do, folks.
just not when you're
Have
driving.
a coffee and then come back and listen to the rest of the show because
Yeah.
it will be equally entertaining.
It will. It will. But again, don't stop to go to the bathroom while you're driving. All right, that's important safety note. Now, of course, Gaz has been having problems with desktop images forever. Did that extend to the previous version of the Mac
No,
OS or
it's just
just
this.
this one?
No, it's just this version.
Okay,
Sonoma.
so
Just
that's it,
Sonoma.
not the Finder. That's just in the basic Mac OS where that seems to be a problem. But there are other, and these are all the ones we're going to talk about. These are all built-in, used, created, and implemented by Apple with their quality control and some of the bugs that have appeared in there. So and again, this isn't a comprehensive list because it would just take too long. But let's talk about Safari, guys. Let's start off with Safari. Some people are reporting that Safari version 17 for the Mac logs them out of websites after about 20 minutes. According to a report on Apple's support pages, the issue may be when the user has enabled hide IP address from trackers, with the consensus being that some of these websites are doing it to force users to allow tracking. Moving to a Chromium based browser or turning tracking back on seems to resolve it, but it sort of defeats the purpose in preventing tracking in the first place.
So is
Huh.
that a bug with Safari or is that
Something that
a
web developers are doing.
yeah.
It,
I
it
kind of
was it was it was ambiguous over what the potential cause is, but it's either a problem for Apple or it's something nefarious that website
yeah,
developers are
I
doing.
do wonder whether that then means that Apple have really it kind of is a bug because then they've got to make Safari do something to enable that process to be bypassed.
Right.
But then the developers are going to try and bypass that. So that's you're into an ever, an ever ongoing diminishing war of returns there, aren't you?
Well, I mean, because they do use alternative means of telling somebody either through email or possibly even in Safari who they are when they what is that called? Um, there's a thing in mail where you can hide your email address and use an
Oh, what
alternate one.
the relay
Yeah,
one,
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
relay. Yeah.
And these are probably somewhat related, but if they could do something along those lines and give them a fake IP address,
I suppose though, actually, from somebody who doesn't know, and they just, they're just a everyday Joe Blogs user,
right?
they'll deem it to be a bug with Safari.
Yeah, well, that's
They
that's
won't,
where
they
it ends
won't,
up.
they won't really understand all the intricacies of what we're talking about here. So yeah, yeah,
I don't think we understand the intricacies of what we're talking about
yeah. Well, you're dead right there.
here. There's something about that, I think. Another bug seems to be websites refusing to load, or I have here quoting in iOS devices. Apple suggests connecting through another network or turning off any VPN services that you're using, which may, in fact, make the site impossible to use if it's region specific. Also, clearing website data and turning on JavaScript, which just lends itself to a whole nother load of potential issues. Um, Another iOS Safari bug is when the back button doesn't take you to the previous page. It either does nothing or displays a blank page. I've seen that many times. One offered suggestion is to go to a different app and then return to Safari which is hardly a fix. That's
No,
not really a fix.
no.
Okay, moving on from Safari, iCloud. iCloud is taking up a lot of storage on your phone. Sometimes everything you have. To fix it, hopefully turn off iCloud Sync and wait for your storage to reduce, then turn it back on again. Again, not exactly a fix. Apple Music.
Definitely not a fix. Definitely a
No,
buggy bug.
a bug. Apple Music. Songs randomly stopping or skipping to the next song, which I have had happen, or freeze on the next song with no way to either start it or skip to the next one, which is really annoying when you're playing like a playlist, either that you've created or one that, because I mean, Apple, based on the songs that you listen to, have custom playlists that they make through their various ways. And I have had it to where it was like, okay, here's the next song. And then there's nothing. So, and usually the only thing to do is you have to go to the phone, get to the part of the phone where you can see the individual apps, cancel that process with Apple Music completely, and then go back into it again. And again, that's not a fix. Pages. There have been reports of issues with pages when you select the template to start with, and no matter which one you choose, the same one shows up, which saves Apple a lot of time in development. I tell you that right now. It's like, that looks just like the other one. Oh, wait, it is the other one. Okay. Messages. You can't scroll up to see prior text messages. I've never seen that happen. Uh, Finder logging in more difficult for the vision impaired. Huh. With the small window at the bottom of the screen. Now they're talking about here when Apple went to Sonoma, they moved the login all the way down to the bottom of the screen. And if you have some sight impairment, it can be difficult to find. Why they had to move it all the way down there when it was just lovely right there in the middle of the screen, I don't know. Of course, the fact that you still don't have a fix for desktop images, which should be, honestly, that should be an easy fix. You just go, look,
Yeah.
here are the images. Use those images. That should be an easy fix, and it's still not fixed. Mail. This is not a bug, but a WTF. Why can't I, after a restore, add, and I discovered this when I had to restore my phone, add my existing mail accounts without having to re-add them from scratch. All of those mail accounts are in iCloud. I didn't use Apple's restore feature to put all of my apps and everything else onto the phone because there was something there that was causing the battery to drain. Okay, that's fine. So I had to go and I had to add all of the apps individually. But when I logged into iCloud, unless I say differently, should just add all of the current mail accounts that are there, but it doesn't. You have to go and put them all in from scratch. That's oh, go ahead,
Well,
Kaz.
well, I'm going to start actually logging when I get these bugs because I can see myself now going through stuff. Oh, Wilf's just coming.
I know, I just
Hello,
saw
Wilf.
his little tail come by.
I'm just gonna pick him up so he can say hello.
Hello, Wilf.
Here we go.
There's that
There's the
happy.
dog.
There's
There's
Wilf. He's right there. He's right
You're
there.
going to say something, Wilf? Going to say something? No, he's just licking me ear. No. And, yeah.
Dog lick.
Lovely. And there are times when I'm on my iPad or I'm on my phone or sometimes even on the Mac and something happens and I'm going to start logging when those things happen. But you was just talking about mail and my eyes were just going over to mail because I found a real pain in the backside and I deem this to be a bit of a bug. I've had a bit of an issue with my ISP that I use, my domain server that I use for some of my emails because I've got lots of email addresses for various reasons.
Yeah.
And basically, it wouldn't allow me to put in a new outgoing mail server because I was using one mail server for various different through so I was going through setting up my email addresses through my same domain address,
Hmm.
but because of new regulation and because of Google and everybody saying, oh, it's spam if it's not the same outgoing server, SMTP server, as the name that you're actually sending the email with. If those are different, then there could be spam. So they don't like it. So they want them to be the same. So I went into Mail and I went into my account and I now went on to edit the server list. And I kept hitting the plus button, adding all the details, and then allocating that against the email server,
Sure.
and then it kept disappearing and clicking on to another. And I found that if you've got so many, and I don't know what the number is, in fact, let me just click through here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 14.
You have 14 different mail addresses? Wow.
No, I've got more than that. But
Are
no,
those all your outbound ones?
they're my outbound server listings, right?
Okay.
But if you've got more than that, which you could well have, if you've got a few email addresses, it can soon add up when you're, doing like a work account, when you're doing, if you're on a personal work account, you're doing it from home. And then I've
Yeah.
got several other addresses which I use for different websites because I don't want them to get my normal email stuff. So I try and keep that more private, and it starts to add up pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But whenever I tried to add it, I couldn't. And I found that I had to delete a couple of old ones which were still in there, which I wasn't using, and then I could add a new one. But there was no idea, there was no process to say, the plus sign was there, but it wouldn't let me add a new one because I'd had too many in there. Well, gray the plus sign out, Apple, so that I can't go through the process of trying to add it. It's stuff like this which I think, Apple really, I think in the past was really good at and really easy to use. But I think we are definitely in a time period with Apple where they're getting, dare I say, a little bit
Complacent.
Microsoft Windowsy, because there's so many settings and there's so many things that they've got to reference to make sure that something is working. If you change this, it's reference to that. Whereas a lot of Apple stuff used to be very much standalone. It could work within the OS on its own, but now a lot of things are starting to get integrated, and that is very much the old Windows system, and that
Yeah.
is a slippery path to head down. Very slippery.
And the worst part of it is people hearing this, a lot of them will sit there and say, well, why are you using mail then? Why don't you use a different mail program? And it's like, that's not the point.
No, it's not the
The
point.
the the point is a lot of
I like
people
mail,
are
and to those
happy with
people, and to
mail.
those
And I'm
people, to
I'm
those people,
I like
I
mail.
like mail.
Yeah,
It,
me too.
other than this issue, it's great, absolutely great. I don't have a problem with it too. It syncs up very easily with
Yes.
my iPad and with my phone, and any other Mac that I might have. It's just easy. So I don't have a problem with
Unless
it.
unless
So
you have a brand new device and then you have to put all that in from scratch.
well, yeah,
But that's
yeah.
that's a whole different
S-
story.
So, listeners, have you got any gripes which you suddenly ring? Yes, actually,
Tell
that's
us.
been bugging me as well. Tell us, because I think we start shouting this stuff out a little bit more because we are Apple fanboys, but
Yep.
we're not Apple fanboys to the nth degree. If something ain't right, we'll shout it out.
And you know what? If we get enough responses, we'll actually make it like a section in the show, Apple bugs this week or something along those lines. We're not proud.
this
We'll
week,
take
this week,
we'll take
this week
we'll
in
take
Apple
content
bugs.
from anybody. We don't care.
We need content from anybody.
We do. We really, really do. Um, there was something else I was going to say about this, and now it's kind of
Oh, I'm sorry, I've disturbed your
no,
train
no,
of
no, no.
thought.
That's
Haven't
fine.
I?
But I mean, that's basically all the stuff that we had along those lines. So unless I think about it and put it in the after show, we're going to move on to a different part of the show. Gaz, do you agree?
I'm nodding my head.
Well, I'm happy that there's head nodding.
Gaz's tips.
Most included.
Gaz's tips.
Most included.
Gaz's tips.
It's time for
Gaz's tip.
This tip is headed, make sure your Mac sleeps. Now, I don't currently own a Mac laptop. And I saw this and I thought, oh, well, I don't need to read this because it's about Mac laptops. But then I thought, hang on a minute, I can still give tips for Mac laptops. But this
What?
tip
That's
actually,
crazy talk.
however, this tip is related to Macs in general as well. So if you found that when you shut your lid on your MacBook or try to put the iMac to sleep, I don't know why it talks about iMac in this one, it refers to desktops as well. So when you put your Mac into sleep and it just doesn't fancy it, there might be an app from preventing it going to sleep. Thankfully, there's a very quick way to check what applications are running in the background, which may be preventing your Mac from shutting down or going into sleep mode. So go into Activity Monitor. So you can search for Activity Monitor by using Spotlight. You go into Activity Monitor and selects columns from the view menu, the top of the screen. And there's a column that says preventing sleep, which will show you, yes, a list if the application is causing an issue. And that, guy, was a tip I didn't know. So I thought I'm going to share that on this week's show.
I would agree with that. And it's preventing me from sleeping. I'll tell you that right now.
Hit it. That's the end of Gaz's tips. That's
Most
the end of Gaz's tips.
Otherwise,
That's
I'll
the
be
end of Gaz's tips.
Is that the end of the tip?
Will you let me finish?
Gaz, you are absolutely right.
There we go. All righty. I actually have it for pick's sake this week, guys.
Oh, well done.
Yeah, it's not a thing per se, but it's a good source for what's up with all of Apple's services. So you go to, and there'll be a link in the show notes if I remember to put it there, apple.com/support/system status. And this will show you red or green or yellow on all of the various online services that Apple provides or has. It'll show you what their current status is. So that's
Great.
a good thing.
Great.
Yeah, I know.
Excellent.
I like
Well
it.
done.
No feedback, Gaz. I'm so
Yes, there
sad.
was. Yes, there
Oh,
was.
there was? Oh, you got something.
Well, I would have thought you got it as
Somebody
well.
new?
No, Marcus sent in.
Oh, yes. Yes. See, it has been a while. I forgot about this. So let's go. We got a couple of phone calls from Marcus over here. Thank you, Marcus, for calling in. And yes, I had to work on one of those quite a bit. But if you here's the crazy thing. If you listen to it, see if you can guess where in the call that I put the edit. So here's the first one.
So this is recording number 2. I believe I'm using the Tempest microphone, but I don't think it's changed.
That's what I'm
I
using.
changed the FaceTime setting. Maybe I need to go to system preferences. Okay, now I changed the system preferences to the Tempest, and the input volume was set to a rather low setting, and I ooched it up a lot, and then I ooched it back quite a lot as well.
Upside your head.
It seems to be in the middle of the microphone
Scientific
setting.
term.
And I will press mute. So
What?
when I come back, you notice that it was muted. I'm using the Voice Memos app on Mac OS, and I'm stuffy. It's too hot out. It is, let me see, right
His
now.
weather
It
report.
is 35 degrees, foggy and misty.
Yeah, welcome to the local
It was
weather
10
report.
below zero. Anyway, I'm done recording this one. I'm going to do a better one with a lot of swear words for Guy to edit out.
Yeah, and he did. Anyway, here's the next one. Listen closely. See if you can figure out where I put the edits in.
So this is Marcus in Minnesota again. I haven't sent in anything for a long time. because for some
Thank you,
reason I think I
Marcus.
need to do audio tests.
Well, thank you
But,
for sending it.
I
not for
also
not having
ordered
to put
the
one in.
Tempest. I don't know what it is.
The 512
Dave
from
Hamilton
512
posted
Audio.
it. And I go, wow, that's a great, because it's like a $170, $200 mic, and I got it for $39, I think, shipped.
Yeah, great
Just
mic.
arrived while I was at work. I finished work from home, and now I'm recording on it, and it sounds amazing. And oh gosh, there's so much dead air. Yeah, it's better than any microphone I've ever tried. I bought a Blue Yeti microphone over 1 or 2 years ago at Micro Center. I took it out of the box to look at it and touched it, and I go, "Ooh, this is nice." And I set it on a shelf, and I haven't touched it since. I'm not really an audio guy, but gee, I should start something. This whole podcast thing could take off. Oh no, I've been listening to podcasts for 20 years now, I believe. If I wanted to do something, I would have done it back then. But this is a rather lengthy note, and I'm going to stop. I guess I could play with the settings here. That there's a down on the microphone, and I turn it to what looks like about a quarter, and it's about halfway. It was a little over halfway, and now it's about 3/4.
This is brilliant.
Now it's in the middle as compared to where the microphone is. Yeah, that's rather nice. I think I might do this if I video chat with somebody, and I know in advance. I'll just plug this in, set the audio to that, and the video to the camera, and boom, bada bing, bada bang, bada boom, all done. Anyway, have a good day. Bye. I wanted to put some more Effenheimers in there, so Guy had to edit out of it, but I guess I didn't, because I don't think I'm sending this audio clip in. It's too long.
He did send it in. There were some Effenheimers, and I did edit them out. Could
I
you
didn't
tell where
spot
the
them.
edits were?
I couldn't spot them at all, Guy.
I
tell you what, I love that. That was great. It was just, it reminded me of us.
Yeah.
In a funny way.
Thank you, Marcus. We really
Yes,
do.
thank you.
Believe it or not, we
do.
do appreciate it. And
We do. Absolutely.
Anytime anybody takes the time to call our number, which we will say what it is in a little while, we are greatly appreciative. That's a word. Of the feedback that we get from you guys, and whether it's a telephone call or an email or a message or however it is that you want to let us know, it is greatly appreciated. And if you would like to support the show, you can go to Patreon. Just so smooth, right into it, Gaz. You can go to patreon.com /
smooth,
so smooth. Mac Parrot, you can buy us a coffee by going to ko-fi.com / Mac Parrot. Speaking of which, thank you, Owen Rubin, for making such a nice donation. And he's now officially retired from Apple. So we should get him on the show.
We should definitely get him on the show.
The big problem is Gaz is 5 hours into the future. Owen, who lives in California, you're 5 hours into the past. Owen, who lives in California, is 3 hours into the future. So that huge 8-hour time gap can make it kind of hard to schedule. But if
we will try,
and he's not working, so he's got lots of time.
What are you saying?
I'm not saying nothing, Mr. Retired person on the other side of that microphone. I want to be retired. No one will let me. They're like, no, you got to
move on.
You got to
move on.
Effing working. Oh, got to
move
make
on.
sure I edit that out. Okay. And there's also PayPal, paypal.me / MacParrot. You can use any of those various methods if you'd like to make a donation to help us keep the show going. We really would appreciate it. But you know what? Even if you don't, we'll keep doing it anyway, especially if it makes you mad. Yeah. So, Gaz.
What?
If people wanted to contact you and go, what is Guy's major malfunction when it comes to donating money, and how he wants to make people mad if they don't by still doing a podcast. Boy, that seems like a really long, convoluted way to start this part. How would they do so?
Easy. Send an email to gaz@mymac.com,
Guys.
gaz@mymac.com, or on the Twitters and Mastodon and Counter Social and Threads and
All those
Instagram, just all of them, really. You can find me as Gazmaz, Gazmaz. Mastodon, it's gaz@c.im. Also, Guy and Gaz are on Twitter /X, which is GYANDGAZ. You can also send an email to feedback. Wait for it. FWDBACK at mymac.
I got it.
.com.
His name was Guy.
It was.
Guy.
It really was.
Guy's the one. You remember Guy?
He's the guy. Pay no attention to that guy behind the curtain.
Guy says,
Do we know it was a guy?
Your guy. Your guy. It's you.
yeah,
I love you.
Yeah.
My
I'm sure.
guy?
Just who is this guy?
by being the good guy.
Guy.
Who the hell even knows who this guy is?
A non-toxic guy.
Yeah.
Get up, Guy.
Hi, guy.
If you want
An email from Guy.
No fooling.
how would they do it? How would they do it?
Oh, I swear to God, I used to hold my breath when you did that first part. These days, I would probably pass out, so it's not a good idea.
would.
If you
You
would
would,
like
yeah.
to send me an email, you would open up the email client of your choice, and there's lots of choices out there, as we were talking about earlier, and send that to at mymac.com. Whew. So smooth, so good. If you're on the X Twitters, you can find me there as both Mac Parrot and Vert Shark. I am also over on Counter Social and Mastodon.social as Mac Parrot. There we go. There is the Vert Shark website, which, unbelievable even to me, is all caught up. So yay for me. Actually, I think that's about it. That's all the ways you can get a hold of us. Isn't that great?
Well, you could dial a Google Voice number,
could you?
which happens to be 703-828-4677.
I'm sorry. What was that number again, Gaz?
703-828-4677.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the number that Marcus called, and
Yes.
that's Greg from North Carolina and Greg from New York. We like the Gregs like us. The Gregs like this show.
And
All of you
sometimes
can call
I
that
like
same number.
Greg's.
I'm sorry?
And sometimes I like a Greg's.
The Gregs are wonderful. We really, really like you. So at this point,
Do you not have Greg's in the US?
no. What is that?
Search for Greg's UK and you'll find out what I'm talking
Oh,
about.
like I'm going to remember to do that by the time we get off the show.
I wasn't really talking to you. I was talking to the
Oh,
listeners.
okay. Well, good, because I get really confused at times.
At
I
times.
would like to say at times, just sometimes. The rest of the time, I'm right as rain. You could. No, I almost went into telling you how to get a hold of us again. That would have been really stupid. I would like to.
I know.
No,
You think.
no,
I know
not
you.
yet.
You
I
thank
would
them.
like to
You thank them.
say thank you.
Thank you for
thank
sticking
you.
with us.
Through thick and thin. Thank you so very, very much. You have no idea how much we appreciate the fact that you have
No idea.
downloaded and listened to this show. Is Wilf still in there?
No, he's gone.
He's gone. That's too
He's
bad.
gone.
Because, Gaz, I think that we're good enough. And I think that we're smart enough. And if Wilf was in the room, he would agree, because Wilf, that amazing, impossible to find in certain pictures on Facebook pup, that people like us.
Guy,
Yeah.
if a child refuses to nap, are they guilty of resisting arrest?
Oh.
End.
So you can all go home and there's nothing to worry about. Get out of here now. Go on. Go on home and I go home.